May the grace and profound peace of the heavens be with you as we embark on this deeply reflective journey together. Welcome to a sanctuary of thought, a place where the quietest voices hold the most resounding truths. Have you ever walked through the world feeling like you are observing a grand play, yet desperately wishing to remain hidden in the audience rather than being dragged onto the stage? If you have ever taken a psychological assessment and found yourself staring at the letters INFJ, you might have felt an overwhelming sense of validation, washed over by a wave of gentle apprehension. You belong to one of the rarest personality types known to human psychology. You are the introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging soul. But these mere letters barely scratch the surface of your profound existence. You are a deep thinker, a silent observer, and a compassionate guardian of human emotion. You notice the microscopic shifts in the atmosphere that elude the ordinary eye. You catch the fleeting shadow of sadness behind a friend's forced smile. You read the unwritten poetry hidden within the mundane routines of daily life. Yet, despite your boundless capacity to understand humanity, there is one thing that often brings you an inexplicable sense of dread: the sudden, glaring spotlight of being noticed. To the outside world, avoiding attention might simply look like ordinary shyness or a lack of confidence. But for you, it is something entirely different and infinitely more complex. Being noticed feels as though an intruder has suddenly thrown open the doors to your most private, sacred sanctuary. Your inner world is a vast, intricately woven tapestry of thoughts, dreams, and profound reflections. It is a quiet garden where you cultivate your deepest beliefs. When the eyes of others suddenly lock onto you, it feels as if a blinding searchlight has pierced through the protective walls of that garden. You are not inherently timid. In fact, when a cause ignites your deeply held values, you can stand up with the fierce, unwavering courage of a seasoned leader. You can speak with a mesmerizing eloquence that moves mountains. But you do not seek the gaze of the crowd for the mere sake of vanity. Attention without a profound purpose feels hollow, abrasive, and fundamentally inauthentic to your spirit. You do not wish to be a spectacle. You simply wish to be an unseen force of gentle, positive change in a world that so often prizes volume over value. To truly understand this aversion to the spotlight, we must look at the exquisite sensitivity of your nervous system. For an INFJ, the external world is not just loud in terms of decibels. It is overwhelmingly loud in its emotional energy. When people turn their attention toward you, they are not just looking at you. They are unconsciously hurling their internal energies, expectations, curiosities, and judgments directly into your space. Imagine the profound resilience of the generations before us. Think of the silent, unyielding strength of a grandmother who survived the bitter winters of the Korean War, rebuilding her family from the ashes with quiet dignity. She did not boast. She did not seek applause. She simply poured her soul into the survival and prosperity of her loved ones, embodying a quiet strength that led to the miraculous rise of a modern nation. Your spirit shares a profound connection with that kind of silent, enduring resilience. You carry a heavy emotional capacity, processing every subtle nuance of the human experience. When suddenly thrust into the center of attention, this delicate emotional ecosystem is disrupted by a tsunami of external stimuli. Let us delve into the first profound reason why being noticed feels so uncomfortable. It is the overwhelming wave of sensory and emotional overload. Picture yourself walking into a crowded room. Suddenly, the conversation halts, and every pair of eyes turns to rest upon you. For some extroverted souls, this is a moment of exhilarating triumph. They bask in the warmth of the gaze. But for your deeply intuitive mind, it is an immediate crisis of overstimulation. Your brain does not merely register the faces. It instantly begins to decode the microscopic data embedded in that moment. You notice the slight raise of a stranger's eyebrow, the sudden shift in the room's temperature, the unspoken expectation hanging heavy in the air. You feel the collective mood of the crowd pressing against your skin. This immense influx of information requires time to process, yet the spotlight demands an immediate, polished reaction. The pressure to perform in that split second can cause your brilliantly complex mind to suddenly freeze, leaving you feeling exposed and entirely unmoored from your true self. Even moments of positive attention can trigger this profound sense of sensory overwhelm. Imagine someone praising you loudly in front of a group of colleagues or friends. While a part of you sincerely appreciates the warmth and validation, a much larger part of you feels a sudden, intense urge to disappear. Public praise can feel like an emotional ambush. It is not that you are ungrateful. It is that you possess a profound humility and a deep-seated discomfort with being elevated above the collective. You absorb the energy of everyone else in the room who is witnessing this praise. You might worry if others feel jealous, or if you are taking up too much space. This constant, involuntary radar that scans the emotional landscape of everyone around you is exhausting. It creates a chaotic noise within your mind, drowning out your natural inner peace. That is why you so often retreat to the quiet corners of the world. In the profound silence of solitude, free from the heavy gaze of others, your soul can finally breathe, expand, and restore its natural, harmonious rhythm. The second, deeply rooted reason for your discomfort is a terrifying fear of being profoundly misunderstood. You live in a world where the vast majority of people operate on the surface of existence. They exchange pleasantries, engage in small talk, and make rapid, shallow judgments based on fleeting appearances. But you, the INFJ, dwell in the hidden depths of the ocean. You think with an agonizing depth. You care with a fierce, almost painful intensity. You have carefully constructed layers to your identity that require patience, trust, and time to unveil. When you are suddenly noticed, especially in a fast-paced, superficial environment, you are forced to present a simplified version of your complex soul. You share a deeply meaningful thought in a meeting, only to be met with blank stares or a dismissive nod. The pain of that moment is not merely embarrassment. It is a sharp spiritual ache. It is the agonizing realization that your beautiful, profound inner truth has been distorted by the shallow lens of the outside world. This fear of being misunderstood echoes a profound cultural sentiment known as Han. It is an internalized feeling of deep sorrow, injustice, and quiet resilience that has shaped the history of an entire peninsula. It is the pain of having a voice that the world refuses to truly hear, yet choosing to endure with quiet dignity, rather than screaming into the void. When you replay a conversation in your mind at 2 in the morning, agonizing over whether your words were taken out of context, you are experiencing a microcosm of that sorrow. You invest an incredible amount of meaning into every word you speak and every action you take. You desperately want your pure intentions, your warm heart, and your complex message to be received exactly as you conceived them. But in the chaotic, rapidly moving currents of modern society, this is a rare luxury. The spotlight forces you into a hurried translation of your soul, a translation where all the beautiful, subtle poetry of your true self is inevitably lost. Because of this profound risk of misinterpretation, you become fiercely protective of your inner sanctuary. You are not secretive out of malice or deception. You are guarding a precious, fragile treasure. When a teacher calls on you unexpectedly, or when a massive audience suddenly views your social media profile, panic sets in. You worry that they will only see a fragmented, inaccurate caricature of who you truly are. To an INFJ, being misunderstood is a fate far worse than being completely ignored. Being ignored simply means you remain unseen, safe in your solitude. But being misunderstood creates a painful dissonance, an agonizing tension between who you know you are and who the world insists you must be. This is why you deliberately choose the path of the unseen. You wait on the periphery, observing, analyzing, and waiting for the rare, precious soul who is willing to dive into the deep waters with you. You would rather share the entirety of your universe with one genuine person than be shallowly perceived by a stadium of thousands. This brings us to the third powerful reason: your uncompromising devotion to authenticity over popularity. You are allergic to the artificial masks that society demands we wear. For you, absolute realness is the ultimate currency of the soul. You desire your life to be a genuine expression of your deepest truths. When you are noticed in a public setting, the invisible script of societal expectations is immediately thrust into your hands. You are suddenly expected to perform. You must smile brightly, laugh at jokes you do not find amusing, engage in the numbing dance of small talk, and seamlessly blend into the collective masquerade. For an INFJ, this performance is not just tiring. It feels like a betrayal of your own soul. You possess the intelligence and empathy to wear the mask brilliantly. You can charm a room if absolutely necessary. But the moment you return to the quiet of your home, you collapse under the sheer, exhausting weight of that pretense. The stark truth is that you would rather be intensely genuine than universally liked. If drawing attention requires you to artificially inflate your energy, to pretend to be more outgoing, louder, or more aggressively ambitious than your quiet spirit naturally is, you will gladly pass on the opportunity. The modern world, with its relentless obsession with personal branding and social media visibility, feels like an alien landscape to you. Posting heavily edited photos or boasting about your achievements online feels akin to walking onto a stage completely naked. It is not a lack of self-worth that holds you back. It is a profound distaste for self-promotion. You do not want to be reduced to a carefully curated grid of images or a witty caption. You want to be known for the quiet kindness you offer to a stranger, the loyal support you give to your family, and the deep, unwavering principles that guide your life. You prefer the unnoticed, genuine reality over the highly visible, fabricated illusion. The fourth pillar of your discomfort with attention is your absolute non-negotiable need for profound privacy and deep, uninterrupted focus. For your personality type, solitude is not a mere luxury. It is as essential to your survival as oxygen. Your mind is a beautifully complex machine that requires vast amounts of quiet space to function. In the sacred silence of your private world, your thoughts become crystal clear. Your turbulent emotions settle into a calm, reflective pool. You recover from the bruising noise of the external world. When the spotlight of attention suddenly swings your way, that hard-won peace is instantly shattered. Outside voices, invasive questions, and the heavy awareness of being observed flood into your sanctuary. Even if the attention is entirely benevolent, the mere knowledge that you are being watched throws off your delicate internal balance. your focus fragments, your mind clouds over, and the serene calm you worked so hard to cultivate evaporates into thin air. Think of the traditional Korean hanok, an architectural masterpiece designed to breathe in perfect harmony with nature. It does not tower aggressively over the landscape like a modern skyscraper, demanding to be seen from miles away. Instead, it sits quietly, its deeply sloping roofs blending with the mountains, its inner courtyards protecting the warmth and intimacy of family life. You, as an INFJ, are built like the hanok. Your truest beauty and greatest strength lie deep within, hidden from the casual passerby, reserved only for those who are invited across the threshold. You thrive when you are allowed to dive deeply into complex projects, profound ideas, or emotional explorations. You require the quiet, unpressured space to think, to plan, and to create without a timeline dictated by others. When attention forcefully interrupts this process, demanding quick answers and surface-level explanations of your unfinished thoughts, it feels like a violation of your creative sanctuary. This profound need for unobserved focus is precisely why you so often dread busy, open-plan office environments or forced group collaborations. It is definitely not a matter of incompetence. When given the proper environment, you are capable of producing work of staggering brilliance and depth. But you require the autonomy to work at your own measured, thoughtful pace. You want to polish your ideas until they shine with truth before you present them to the world. Attention, by its very nature, demands speed. It demands instant gratification and half-baked compromises. You refuse to offer the world anything less than your thoroughly considered best. Therefore, when you actively step back into the shadows, avoiding the promotion or the center stage, you are not surrendering. You are making a highly intelligent, strategic retreat to the only environment where your soul can truly fly. You are protecting the quiet forge where your greatest contributions to humanity are quietly, patiently crafted. Now, we must face the fifth deeply internalized reason, the unrelenting, often tyrannical voice of your inner critic and your battle with perfectionism. Inside the mind of almost every INFJ, there is a loud, unforgiving judge that constantly whispers, "You could have said that better. You should have been more eloquent." They are certainly judging your flaws right now. When you are standing in the shadows, unobserved, this critic is manageable. But the moment the spotlight hits you, that internal voice amplifies into a deafening roar. Suddenly, you feel as though every microscopic movement you make, every word you utter, is being placed under a high-powered microscope. Because you hold yourself to impossibly high moral and intellectual standards, the pressure to execute flawlessly under the gaze of others becomes terrifying. You desperately want your actions to be a perfect reflection of your profound inner care. If you stumble over a word, or if your voice shakes even slightly, your inner critic will punish you for days, long after everyone else has forgotten the moment. This paralyzing perfectionism is the unseen chain that often keeps you from raising your hand, speaking your brilliant mind, or sharing your creative gifts with the world. You will spend agonizing hours drafting a simple email, rethinking every comma, or delaying the launch of a project because you fear the judgment that inevitably accompanies visibility. Even when you courageously step forward and receive genuine applause, your inner critic will immediately find a way to dismantle the joy. It will whisper that they are just being polite, or that if they truly knew your flaws, they would take back their praise. This creates a heartbreaking paradox in your life. You possess a burning desire to be deeply understood and to make a monumental impact on the world. Yet, you are terrified that being noticed will expose the human imperfections you are so desperately trying to fix in secret. So, you remain silent. You wait for a magical moment of absolute readiness that, in truth, may never arrive. But perhaps the most poignant and painful reason of all is the sixth: the heavy, unyielding memory of your past experiences and your profound emotional sensitivity. An INFJ does not simply remember the past. You feel it vividly and physically, as if it is happening right now. If you were ever mocked, misunderstood, or deeply hurt after making yourself visible in the past, that memory did not just fade away. It planted deep, thorny roots within your soul. Because your emotional capacity is so vast, pain hits you with the force of a hurricane. A casual, sarcastic remark that someone else might brush off in seconds can leave a lasting, invisible scar on your spirit. Perhaps you once bravely shared a deeply personal dream, only to have it met with cynical laughter. Or perhaps you stood up for a noble cause, only to be harshly criticized and isolated. Your brilliant, protective mind learned a very harsh lesson in those moments. Visibility equals vulnerability, and vulnerability often invites devastating pain. Your mind is like the ancient art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with pure gold. You have gathered the shattered pieces of your past experiences and carefully glued them back together with the gold of your quiet wisdom and profound empathy. But you know exactly where those cracks are, and you are fiercely protective of them. When well-meaning extroverts tell you to just put yourself out there, or ask why you are being so quiet, they have no comprehension of the emotional calculus running through your mind. You are not simply acting shy. You are executing a highly evolved defense mechanism. You have accurately assessed that the emotional cost of being visible to the wrong audience is far too high a price to pay. You are actively protecting your peace, guarding your delicate heart from the careless, heavy-handed judgments of a world that does not know how to handle your depth. This profound emotional memory is exactly why you find your true power and greatest joy in the intimacy of small, carefully chosen circles. In a quiet room with one or two deeply trusted souls, the heavy armor can finally be set down. The spotlight is replaced by the soft, warm glow of a candle. In these sacred spaces, there is no performance, no rush, and no fear of harsh judgment. Here, you can unravel the magnificent complexities of your mind. You can share your brilliant insights, your quirky humor, and your deepest fears without the terrifying risk of emotional devastation. You know that true connection is not about how many eyes are looking at you. It is about how deeply one specific pair of eyes can truly see into your soul. You have learned the hard way that guarding your energy is not a weakness. It is the smartest, most vital strategy for preserving your unique magic in a world that constantly demands your exhaustion. Let us embrace the beautiful truth of your existence. Being noticed, standing in the glare of the public eye, is simply not for everyone, and that is a magnificently acceptable reality. The world is obsessed with the loudest voices in the room, but history is quietly shaped by the profound thinkers who operate behind the scenes. While others are busy fighting for the center stage, you are in the quiet background, meticulously repairing the broken foundations of humanity. You are the invisible glue that holds families together. You are the quiet visionary who sparks profound changes through deep, meaningful conversations. You are the empathetic healer who listens when everyone else is shouting. The immense pressure, the sensory overload, and the emotional noise that come with public attention do not serve your higher purpose. Your power is not derived from being seen by the masses. Your unparalleled power is derived from being absolutely, unapologetically real. You do not ever have to force your beautifully intricate soul into the loud, abrasive mold that society attempts to impose upon you. Never apologize for your need to retreat. Never feel guilty for seeking the shadows when the lights become too harsh. Your calm presence, your agonizingly deep thoughtfulness, and your fierce, unyielding authenticity are gifts that this chaotic world desperately needs, even if it does not always know how to acknowledge them. May you continue to walk your quiet path with unshakable pride. May you find the profound peace that comes from knowing you are enough, exactly as you are, hidden from the noise, yet deeply connected to the heartbeat of the universe. May the heavens bless your beautiful, quiet soul with unending grace and profound peace. Thank you for sharing this quiet space with us today.